Blog Talk Radio.
Good news is that something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route.
Who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat Al-Qaeda.
All you got to do is start looking around. Start thinking for yourself. Start investigating things. And you will see it all right there. So you have the power. Humanity has the power. We have the power. Do you want to fight? You better believe you got one.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. We have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
George Bush has invoked a new world order without enunciating a new American purpose.
Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order, and instead it looks like we got a lot of disorder.
Today we take an essential step in defeating terrorism while protecting the constitutional rights of all Americans. Preventing mass terror will be the responsibilities of presidents far into the future.
The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. These are not simply words written into aging parchment. They are the foundation of liberty and justice in this country.
This is an ideological battle. Some people believe in globalism, others of us believe in national sovereignty. It's a contest between ideologies, whether we believe in our institutions here, our national sovereignty, our Constitution, or are we going to further move in the direction of international government? It's just knowledge is out there. If we look for it, you'll realize that our national sovereignty is under threat.
All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Yeah. All right, well, anyway, this next song here is written by someone that I know. I'm not going to mention any names. Didn't tell me to mention any names. I've sent messages out to several people. hopefully to listen. He wrote it, and he's singing it. So I don't know if you like the tune or not, but it makes a lot of sense. So it's only 1 minute and 56 seconds long. So I know everyone out there has to stare at their iPhone, and they may get a Facebook message or a tweet, and or maybe they're sniffing pills or shooting needles up their ass. I don't know what you're doing, but we all know everyone's distracted out there with their own little lives. But just pay attention to this one as I play it right now.
Someone call my mama, someone call my sister, someone call my brother, someone call my dad, I'm about to get mad. Grabbing a government agent, gonna smack him in the head enough times till he's bruised and dead. Tired of the situation being taxed to death. This is supposed to be a great big nation, one nation in God we trusted. Say it in class, then you'll wind up busted. Let's band together and be as one, like it was the day after 9/11. Raise hell, scream and shout till we get all the crooked politicians out.
It's a screwed up nation. What's the situation? Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time. It's a screwed up nation. What's the situation? Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time.
It's a screwed up nation, silly stupid laws. When you get locked up, defending your home. Sorry motherfucker breaking in your house, stealing your goods and raping your spouse. Let's not be little secondhand pawns, camping out, occupying someone else's lawn. Let's stick together and be as one, like it was the day after 9/11. Raise some hell, scream and shout till we get all the crooked politicians out. It's alright, stand up and fight. A few lying politicians, they don't stand a chance. Let's go fuckers, it's time to dance. We become one big joke. World thinks we're weak and ready to croak. Sticking our noses where it don't belong. Worried about the powers that should have killed them all along.
Screwed up nation. What's the situation? Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time. It's a screwed up nation. What's the situation? Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time.
Listen up, people of the nation. This country's our own very creation. We'll stand together and be as one, like it was the day after 9/11. Raise some hell, scream and shout, so get all them crooked politicians out.
There you go. I like the last words, actually. Get those crooked politicians out. They don't care about you. Keep the government shut down. Keep it shut down. Shut it down. Shut it all down. Shut it all down. And then we could take on the corporations. That's what we need to do. We need to take on the criminal corporations that are keeping us down and shut it all down. That's what I say. And I know many people disagree. I mean, we've had people on this show previously, actually. I know a lot of people are watching football right now. We know the referees. It's like they're like the government. They control the game, just like the umpires do. I mean, they got instant replay, but they still can't get the calls right because they're paid off. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. They're in bed with each other. For God's sake, you look at the NFL and you see Amazon Prime underneath the NFL logo. What's that tell you? They're all in cahoots with each other. We exposed Amazon on this show, and that's what we do on this show. We like to call people and expose certain things. And I've got something I want to do here tonight, and then I'll take some callers. I want to call a business here. I've got a question for them, actually, and you guys are going to love this, actually. You're going to love this. Matter of fact, before I call them, I just want to tell you the story real quick in case we don't get anybody. I bought a rocking chair, a recliner, for about $200 from Big Lots about 6 months ago, okay, in Greensboro, North Carolina. I weigh 220 pounds. I never really sit in it. I have a plastic chair that I bought I bought one when I was at my grandmother's house in Connecticut, and that won't break. But I bought it because my little boy, who's 3 years old, likes to sit in the rocking chair and rock like I did when I was a little boy. He weighs less than 50 pounds, okay? Well, last week he was rocking and the chair flipped over, okay, because the bar on the bottom snapped. Because that's how cheap shit is made in America today. And it was made in America. It said made in America on it. American-made furniture, actually. But I bought it from Big Lots. My 3-year-old son broke a rocking chair who weighs less than 50 pounds. What's that tell you, folks? And I'm going to give you other examples. Everyone out there knows I love landscaping. I like doing yard work. You buy a rake for $23. It costs 63 cents to make in China. They ship it over here, and you start raking leaves, and the freaking handle snaps off. You stick a shovel in the ground to dig up a hole, and the shovel snaps in half. Are you sick and tired of that, people? Are you sick and tired of that? Well, I am. Maybe you dumb sheep out there are not, because you're too busy watching your iPhones. Oh, I got a message. Oh, look at me. I was at Food Lion the other day. People are checking out, and they're staring at their iPhone. They're not even paying attention to the store clerk ringing up their groceries. They're staring at their iPhones. Oh, I got to pay? Oh, scan my chip card. Well, don't worry. We'll be able to scan your right hand and your forehead real soon, and then you won't have to worry about your chip card. But anyway, before they close at 8 p.m., I want to call these people here in Greensboro. I want to ask them a question. How can a 3-year-old less than 50 pounds break a rocking chair, a reclining rocking chair? How can he do that? I mean, it doesn't matter if he was jumping on it or what. He weighs less than 50 pounds. So if I weigh 220 pounds and I sat in it, obviously it ain't worth a damn, right? Let's call these people. I want to call them. That's what we do on this show. We like to put people on the spot. My uncle told me that. Call people. Put them on the spot. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to continue doing that in this show. There's nothing they can do about it. Because we are the media, and I don't care what Tone idiot says. He's been blocked from this show. We're not going to argue with that jackass anymore, okay? We are the media. We are alternative media, and we have a right to inquire. And that's what we're going to do. So let's call Greensboro, North Carolina, Big Lots, where I bought this chair from. And I'm going to try to stay silent because, they can pick up background noise, and I want to be polite, but I'm going to ask them questions. And then I'm going to tell them they're live on the radio. Here we go. Let's call them. See what we get.
Thank you for calling your community Big Lots. How can we serve you?
Yeah.
Para español, presiona 2.
If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3.
All right. Shut up. Just shut up. We'll call them right back. We'll see what happens here.
Thank you for calling your community Big Lots. How can we serve you?
Para español, presiona 2.
If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1.
Okay, they don't take calls, obviously. Right? They don't take calls.
Press 3.
So we can't get it.
If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know...
And that's what you get when you call a store or a corporation around here. You get that nonsense. I want to talk to a human being, okay? I want to talk to a human being. I don't want to talk to a freaking recording, all right? Can someone get me Big Lots on in the chat room, please, in Greensboro or someplace else where I can get somebody? That would be nice. I want to talk to them about their furniture they sell there. That's garbage. How a 3-year-old can break a reclining rocking chair who weighs less than 50 pounds. I mean, come on, man. Like I said, you take a leaf rake and you start raking leaves and it snaps in half. You stick a shovel in the ground and it snaps in half. Are you sick and tired of that as a people? Or are you compelled to agree with something like that? I don't know. But anyway, I got the customer service number here. I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to call them. All right, and we'll take callers. All you got to do is press the number 1. That's all you got to do. All right, and this is what we do on this show. We like to put people on the spot here. And, okay, let's see here. Let's go back to the studio room, and hang on. We'll see if we got somebody on the line here. If they're still
If you
recording.
want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate,
No. Let's call customer service and see what happens. Call customer service. Okay. Here we go. Let's dial in the number here. All right. And that's 244. That's what I'm dialing. 866-244-5687. 5687. Let's see what we get from these people. Let's see what happens if we get another recording.
Thank you for calling Big Lots. We are currently experiencing higher than normal contact volume, so we apologize for any delay in answering your call. Please wait on the line, and the next available service representative will be with you shortly. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. At any time during the call, please press pound to repeat main menu. Please choose from one of the following options. If you are calling for rewards program assistance, press 1. For store support or related inquiries, press 2. For online support, press 3. To locate a Big Lots store near you, press 4.
Oh, yeah. I just tried to locate a store near me. I'd just rather stay on the line and wait for a representative. Am I going to hear music now? Because that's what they do. This is what the corporations do. And let's see. I got a number in the chat room somebody just sent me here. But yeah, I
Thank you for calling Big Lots. We are currently experiencing higher than normal contact volume, so we apologize for any delay in answering your call. Please wait on the line, and the next available service representative will be with you shortly. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. At any time during the call, please press pound to repeat main menu. Please choose from one of the following options. If you are calling for rewards program assistance, press 1. For store support or related inquiries, press 2. For online support, press 3.
Now, let's listen to the other. There, shut up. Just shut up.
4.
All right, there we go. All right. Oh, we'll get somebody on the line. Don't worry. We'll get somebody here. We just got to be patient. That's all. You got to be patient sometimes. That's all. See, we're on hold right now. We're waiting. They're not playing music, at least, that garbage
Thank
music.
you for calling Big Lots. We are currently experiencing higher than normal contact volume, so we apologize for any delay in answering your call.
Why are you experiencing higher than normal call volume?
The next available service representative will be with you shortly.
Your
call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes.
Yeah, people are calling you to return the garbage you sell.
Please press pound to repeat main menu. Please choose from one of the following options. If you are calling for rewards program assistance, press 1.
No, I'm not.
For store support or related inquiries, press 2. For online support, press 3.
Online
to
support.
locate a Big Lots store near you, press 4.
Let's try the Gate City one. Maybe someone will answer there. The Gate City Boulevard one. Let's try that one maybe. That would be a good idea. Let me document that number here real quick, and we'll call them and see what. Because I want to find out how a 3-year-old who weighs less than 30 pounds can break a rocking chair.
We are currently experiencing higher than normal contact volume, so we apologize for any delay in answering your call. Please wait on the line. The next available service representative will be with you shortly. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes.
10 hours?
At any time during the call, please press pound to repeat main menu. Please choose from one of the following options.
Why do I gotta
if
press
you are
pound?
calling for rewards program assistance, press 1.
I'm sure you are.
For store support or related inquiries, press 2.
I'm going to give them
for
about 2 more
online
minutes,
support,
and then we're going to call the
press
Gate City
3.
one and see what
To
happens.
locate a Big Lots store near you, press 4.
Yeah, we know where they're all at. You're around the corner. You're criminals. You steal from people. You rob people. You sell garbage. That's what I want to tell you, actually, live on the radio, you dirtbags. If she goes back into a recording, we'll mute her and we'll try the Gate City Boulevard store. And this is what you get. This is an example. Oh, they hung up on me. They hung up. That's what they do to you, folks. That's what they do. And we experienced that with another globalist corporation. All right, let's try this one here. Oh, let's see here. Let's try this phone number real quick, and then we'll take some callers if you guys want to talk. If not, I'll keep calling people. That's what I'll do. Because this has to be documented. It has to be documented. All right, let's see here. Let's try Gate City Boulevard.
Thank you for calling your community Big Lots. How can we serve you?
Para español, presiona 2.
If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2. And to speak to a store associate, press 3. If you would like to hear when we're open, press 1. If you want to know our address, press 2.
Okay. They do the same crap, obviously. But that last one there, they hung up on me, and I didn't like that too much. I didn't like that at all. They must have been listening. See, they listen to the callers, actually, before you call in. And that's what they do, folks. That's what they do. And everyone's compelled to enjoy it. They go along to get along. You shouldn't shop at these places. You really shouldn't. I was at Walmart before Christmas because I have people in my family. They insist on going there. And I don't like it. And I said, look, you've been in here for an hour and a half already. Hey, look at all the zombies walking around. Let's get out of here. And the people didn't even notice what I was talking about. I was saying it amongst 20 different people in the aisle. I said, look, they're all zombies. They don't even know what the hell they're doing. And they just looked at me with glazed eyes. And then I went and sat on the bench in front of the door, the exit sign, and there was a guy standing there at the door, one of those door greeters, and he was just standing there. I said, hey, can you see the zombies? And he just looked at me. Duh. This guy must be crazy. Duh. Ma'am, can I check your receipt? If I ever buy something, I stand in line for 15 minutes, and I pay for something, and I walk out the door, and some guy says, can I see your receipt? I'm going to tell him, F no. This isn't Nazi Germany. I don't need to show you nothing. Go back to Register 9, where I just stood in line for 20 minutes, and asked them for the receipt. I'm leaving. And if you put your hands on me, I'm going to knock you the hell out. Okay? You don't check my receipt at the door. Papers, please. Papers, please. That's what we fought against in World War II, everybody. Papers, please. Where's the elderly community out here that grew up during the World War II era? Where are the Vietnam veterans? Where are the Korean War vets? That's what we fought against, tyranny. Papers, please. I need to see your receipt. No, you damn don't. I've got my crap in a Walmart bag. It's filled. I got 18 bags here. 2 of the items were locked behind a case. I had to get somebody to open up the case for me. How the hell do you think I got 18 bags? With your 29 freaking security cameras in every single aisle. You don't think somebody would have seen me stealing? You jackass. You stupid inbred door greeter. I don't need no permission from you to exit this store. Or how about this? You want to see my receipt? Refund my money right now. You got to put the ball back in their court. You don't cooperate. Don't cooperate. Never give in. Never, ever, ever give up. Never give in. Never, never, never. That's what Winston Churchill said when he was in the face of defeat against the Nazis. Everyone was against him. Everybody, the entire world, even the America wouldn't support Winston Churchill, and he stood up alone. You never give up. Never, never. No matter the cost, no matter what happens, never give up. But the sheep today, all they care about is their stupid cell phones and their damn laptops and everything else. And everyone who wants to talk here tonight or cue in and make a comment here and wish everybody a Happy New Year or whatever the hell else you want to do, all you got to do is press the number 1 and talk. You want to talk about the government shutdown? We talked about that. I say keep it shut down. Shut it down. Shut it all down. We don't need the government. We don't need them. The Federal Reserve prints the money. You're still going to get your government checks. You're still going to get your food stamps. And the Federal Reserve makes the money, prints the money. You were born as a slave. It's on your birth certificate, bank routing numbers, right-hand corner. All you got to do is look at your birth certificate, take it to a stock office, and say, please, what do these numbers mean? That's all you got to do. And they'll type it into their little financial computers or take it to your local bank. They'll probably throw you out. I've been thrown out of banks before if I mention the word fractional reserve banking. Oh, no, banks make their own money. How can a bank make any money on the deposits that they receive and then lend out $500,000 mortgages to people at interest? How can a bank do that? They don't even have that many deposits. Figure it out. But you argue with these people, and they don't get it. They don't understand fractional reserve banking. They don't understand economics. We've explained it many times how it works. What is a checking account? How can you get a mortgage? You can't get a mortgage. A bank has no money to lend you until you sign on that dotted line your name and you give your Social Security number. Money that you were bought with the day you were birthed and the day you were born. If I start getting really into detail, you're going to call me crazy. That's what will happen. But it all goes to Admiralty Maritime Law, Magna Carta Law, okay? You need to understand how the bankers operate. You don't owe a credit card company one damn thing. They created that money through your signature, okay? I just won against a credit card company, Credit One, actually. Before I get to my first caller here, a quick little story again, things that I do. Credit One Bank. I told them I'm recording this phone conversation. Oh, you can't record a financial institution. Don't you tell me what I can and cannot do. In North Carolina, it's a one-party state. You should be lucky I even told you I was recording this phone conversation. There were charges on my credit card company. In Honduras, I'm a male, and I was buying female clothing in Honduras. That's what they told me. And I reported the fraud to them, and they said, we've conducted our fraud investigation. We find that you were responsible for those charges. Yeah, I went to Honduras, jackass, and bought female clothing and put it on my Credit One bank account and came back to the United States and told you I didn't do it. Yeah, right. I told them I'm reporting you to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, number one. And the next time you call me and tell me I owe a debt that I don't owe, okay, because the money's created out of thin air, and tell me how you extended a line of credit to me, tell me what money you actually extended to me. It's called credit. Why is it credit? Because it's bought by my debt when I was born, and I explained that to you through the birth certificate system. You didn't lend me nothing. You're going to lend me back my own money that I was born into as a slave back to me at interest? They hung up on me. Guess what? They went away. They went away. They sent me a letter. You don't owe us nothing. Consider your accounts closed. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There was more said. I'm not going to get all into that. I quoted actual Federal Reserve banking laws and stuff like that to them. But they went away. Now, you're not going to do that with a $1,000 mortgage. The bank's going to fight you all the way. I'm not suggesting people do that. But I'm telling you, these other jackasses out there who say you owe money to them, you owe nothing. There's no such thing as money. It's called Federal Reserve notes, deemed legal tender under the Emergency Powers Act of 1933 and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. But if you go, challenging $1 million mortgages and car loans with these people, they're going to send some people in some white vans to your house, and they're going to knock on your door and tell you to knock it off. Okay? And if you don't, you're going to end up in a line pit someplace. It's happened. Look it up. Look it up. These bankers, a man challenged this in Minnesota years ago. The judge ended up dead. The prosecutor ended up dead, and that guy disappeared. Nobody knows what the hell happened to him. He won in court. The judge agreed with him. Okay? Look up the case. I've spoken to people who challenged this. I knew a guy years ago, about 10 years ago, who challenged this Federal Reserve System. Found out how to cash in your TBA account that you're born with. You were born at that time 10 years ago with $685,000. And he found out, he was telling people how to cash it in and discharge all your debt, no matter what debt you think you may have had. Well, he called me. He said, I'm scared right now. He says, I got involved in something maybe I shouldn't have. He says, I got a family. I told him, I said, you were doing the right thing, but you got to protect your family. Just know that you know the truth. Because we know the government ships the cocaine and heroin in this country. Look up the documentary. Look up Barry Seal. They made a freaking Hollywood movie about it. You know, it's a true story. All right, we know the government does. It's all a game. So if you're out there as a police officer arresting people for a nickel bag of marijuana or a dime bag of cocaine, all you are is a part of the damn problem. You should be arresting the people that are shipping the crap into this country. And a border wall is not going to stop the drugs. When military cargo planes are flying into LAX, Miami International Airport, and Chicago O'Hare Airport for 250 pounds of cocaine on the plane, okay? Not going to solve the problem, the border wall for drugs, all right? Now, it may solve the problem for illegal immigrants trying to get over and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I believe in securing the borders. We're a sovereign country. Yeah, you know, you got to secure your borders. But, again, you have to get rid of the corruption first. Let's get to my first caller. I've been rambling on here. I'm just trying to educate people out there and wake them up, you know, and about the Federal Reserve Act. And I did play a song here tonight from one of my family members. I'm not going to mention any names. I played it in the beginning. So if you missed it, you can go back and archive. He wrote it. He sung it. It was actually a pretty good song. I liked it. I'm going to use it from now on in my intros, actually. So we'll go ahead here and press 1 if you want to connect here. If not, if you don't want to connect, you don't want to listen. And then the spies out there that are listening, you can continue to spy on me and listen and do whatever you got to do. I don't care. You know, I'm well regulated, got plenty of food here, and you know, you want to kick down a SWAT team in my house, go right ahead. Go ahead. I'm a small fish. I'm not a big fish. Okay, I'm only a blog talk radio show host. I mean, if I'm if I'm doing the wrong thing according to the world, then I must be doing the right thing according to God, and I will always obey God first. Okay. No matter if it costs me my life, because I'm not afraid to die. I've seen it twice in my life. Death twice. Not afraid. I'm only afraid for others that may be unable to protect themselves, but that's why I'm here to protect them, and I'll protect them with my life. Trust me, I'm smarter than the average turnip, okay? I was born on a Sunday. It wasn't last Sunday. Look up the history of me. When I was 13 years old, I declared war on a small town in Connecticut, okay? The entire police department couldn't catch me at the age of 13. All right? I'm not no dummy. Okay, first caller. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bitbanker. I think this is Bitbanker.
Happy New Year, rambling man. How about that? You're off to a wild start. But, you know, hey, at one time, I got a little story, and we'll start off. At one time, a number of years back, I used to collect pennies. Yeah, you know what a penny is. And I had lots of them. Lots of pennies. You know, not only for their, you know, collecting numeristic value and everything, but also at that time, a penny was worth 2.5 or 2 3/4 cents as scrap metal. So I was collecting the pennies, and the ones I didn't want, I was going to melt down. But I found out after doing that, I didn't start off with that notion to melt them down, but I figured I could 250% of my money just by melting them down, because I was doing gold and silver and everything else too, so melting down some copper wouldn't have been a big problem. But then I found out under United States Code 18 USC 475 and 333, I believe, it's illegal, and you could be fined and imprisoned for melting down or defacing or punching a hole in a dollar bill. And the reason that probably is because it's not yours. It don't belong to you. It belongs to the Federal Reserve. And that brings me to your papers, please. You know what they do is they take your receipts when you walk out, which is your personal property, and they punch a hole in it. And that's not right. It's not their property to punch a hole in. They should be fined or imprisoned for doing that, in my opinion. Granted, it's nothing, but you're absolutely right. It's not their receipt. It's your receipt. And, it's all crazy nowadays. But, you got to give those people, something to do to make a living. So they stand at the door and, they never usually ask me for my receipt because I'm yelling at them before I get there, talking to them about nonsense, and they can't hear me anyway. And then when I get to them, they ask me what I said, and I tell them I forgot, and then they forgot what they wanted, and I just leave. So that's the way it normally goes. But you're absolutely right, too, about the banks, and they don't have.
Well, hang on. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, hang on. Let me interrupt you. I was arguing with a banker. You know him, actually, I think. And we're not going to mention any names. I wanted to find any characters. But he's the president of the board of directors here at the Bank of Oak Ridge.
That's true. Characters.
Yeah. But he was telling me, oh, you and that banking stuff. Banks don't do that. We lend out money from our deposits. How can a bank buy flat screen TVs, $2,000 desks, $8,000 couches, put in $2,000 carpeting? How can a bank do that based upon its deposits?
Well, that's
come on.
The key. That's the key. If you go to a local bank and they're not protected by the Federal Reserve, then they're not authorized to multiply their money like the other banks do. But all these big banks, you're absolutely correct.
Well, this is an FDIC bank. They are protected by they are FDIC, and they say they got examiners that come in and everything and examine. Yeah, they want to make sure that you're fractional reserve banking, that no one's stealing the money. That's what a bank examiner is for.
And under the FDIC Act, I guess you're protected to $250,000 nowadays. And a study was done on that a number of years back. And if the banks really went belly up, they could only pay back, and pay it back with what? Because the money's no good, but they could only pay back 2.5% of what's out there.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. Your money's not secure. Well, why did people in the Depression, our great-grandparents, our grandfathers, hide their money in their mattresses? Why? Because they lived through the banking collapse. They lived through the 29 stock market crash. They knew the banks could not be trusted with their money. And we made fun of people about being cheap in the 1930s, who grew up in the 1930s, call them cheapskates and stuff. Well, granted, when they got old, I believe they should have spent the money on themselves instead of, but hoarding it because you can't take it with you. But at the same time, it's good. They say today that most millennials believe that they'll have $1 million in the bank by the time they reach the age of 42. Whoa, boy, they're in a rude awakening.
As soon as our district of criminals find out that the population is acquiring funds, they'll have another Obama era where your 401ks will go down 75%, and what you thought you had is now gone. But I was just looking at something here, which I think you may find of interest, because I was looking at this, and let me read it to you. Banknote or other evidence. Okay. Whoever mutilates, cuts, disfigures, perforates, unites, or cements together, or does any other thing to any bank, bill, draft, note, or other evidence of debt issued by any national banking association, or other evidence of debt. So what they're saying there is that when they give you money, they're giving you their debt. And here's something else you may be interested in. United States coins and currency, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banks, are legal tender for all debts, public charges, taxes, dues. Foreign gold or silver coins are not legal tender for debts. However, there is no federal statute which mandates that private businesses must accept cash as a form of payment.
Wow. So that's why when you go to your local Wendy's and you say, and you present them with a $100 bill, they can say, we're not accepting $100 bills, even though it says on the note itself for all debts, right?
That's
for
right.
all public debts.
That's right.
So it's actually a hypocritical thing. It's weird. That's what I'm saying, and people don't realize that. You know, I actually called. I was at a Kangaroo gas station some years ago, and I went in with a $100 bill to buy $50 worth of gas, and she told me we don't accept $100 bills. I said this is for all debts, public and whatnot. It says it right on on the bill. And I called the police, and the police said there's nothing we could do about that. So I'm showing it to you in black and white on a $100 bill.
Let me finish this. Yeah, let me finish this. By the way, this is Section 31 of USC 5103. It goes on to say, private businesses are free to develop their own policies on whether or not to accept cash, unless there is a state law which says otherwise.
Yeah, and money is fake. It's fake. It's baloney. It's nonsense. You know, and that's what people don't get it. They want to argue about racism. They want to argue about the Me Too movement. Women have power now. Women are taking control. Women should be in control over men because men kill each other. You know, and all this other stuff and all this other nonsense. And it's all a distraction from the root core of the problem. You know, a bartering system. We have a bartering system that's set up by a criminal cabal, a criminal cartel. And it's called the central banking. And the founding fathers were dead set against. All you got to do is read the frickin' Bill of Rights. For God's sake. Anybody. Can anyone name the first 10 amendments?
Here's something else you may be interested in. Section 5, Section 5119B. The United States this is as of 1994. United States notes are an obsolete form of currency last printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in 1968. Obsolete form of currency.
So what's that tell you? It tells you that you are the debt. You are the debt.
Right.
Most people today don't even have a $1,000 Federal Reserve notes in their checking account. And what is the definition of a checking account? Can you explain that to people?
Me? Well, you asked me that before. Well, you put the money in that you've actually worked for. You put in $100, and they inflate it to whatever amount they see fit, and lend that out to other people. They create the money and they lend it out to other people at interest.
Not according to the banker that I know at the Bank of Oak Ridge. He said, I told him, and this is what I told him. I said, next time you're in one of your board meetings, ask the bank examiner what fractional reserve banking means. He promised me he would, and that's going to be interesting, the answer he gives me in about 3 weeks when he goes to his next banking meeting, because I told him, because we got into a big argument about this. He's telling me, oh, you're nuts. You don't know what you're talking about. How can a bank lend out $1 million to build a building when there's not even $1 million in deposits in that bank? Because they reinflate that money. They recreate it out of thin air. Because you're and like you said, you don't go in to get a mortgage, you go in and give a mortgage. Because through your signature and the debt that you were bought by the Federal Reserve. See, people don't understand that. What do you mean I was bought the day I was born? You have a banking routing number on your birth certificate. It's on bonded bank paper. You understand? And the Federal Reserve, what they do is they estimate how much money you will make in your lifetime. And they tax you on that. And that's what the taxes are, okay? You're paying the interest on the money that the Federal Reserve loans to the Treasury Department of the District of Criminals, okay? And they recreate that, and it's you gotta understand. I mean, a good documentary to watch is The Money Masters. It's an excellent documentary. It's 2.5 hours long. I know most people don't have 2.5 hours of attention span. But if you watch it, you'll wake up to, or even The Creature from Jekyll Island. You know, that's a great, because that's where the Federal Reserve was born in 1910, actually. And we can get into a bunch of conspiracies about that with the Titanic. The Astors were against it. And the captain of the ship was paid off by the Federal Reserve. J.P. Morgans, the Carnegies, the Warburgs, the Rothschilds, blah, 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 you know. And he rammed the Titanic into an iceberg, and he was supposed to get off the ship, but he felt so guilty he killed himself. You know, he let himself stay on the ship because the Astors were one of the richest families in the world, and they were against the Federal Reserve. system and the central banking scheme that they set up in 1910 from Jekyll Island. If anyone looks up Jekyll Island, it's off the coast of Georgia. It's there. Okay, it's there. It's real. Okay, and that's where they all met secretly to invent this central banking scheme that they have that is against everything that the founders of this country stood for. Because even Thomas Jefferson said, the central banks, if we ever have a central banking scheme or system in this country, it'll be more dangerous than standing armies. Okay?
Right.
Because it will eat us from within inside. And that's what people do, and that's why we're so concerned and consumed with this debt that's non-existent. Collection agencies calling you. Another part.
So let me ask this. Basically, then, what we're saying here, America and where we're living here and the way we're living is because of we the people. Because we are the ones that are allowing them to do what they're doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, because we the people have what did Thomas Jefferson say? In order to keep our republic, we must have a revolution every 20 years. And when he walked out and the founding father, I'm going to connect 336 here in a second. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to connect him. I don't want to wait on too long here. When they walked out, a woman asked, "What have you done? What have you done to us people?" He said, "I've given you a republic if you can keep it." That's what Thomas Jefferson said.
So
it's all documented.
Let me finish then by saying that America is the same as every other country. It's just the state of mind that we're in that makes it different. And if we change our state of mind, in other words, we let our government do something to us to change our state of mind. I mean, the Federal Reserve and everything, they're in there with their hands and everything and creating this false monetary wealth and everything. But as a state of mind, we're doing well because of it. But if they get in there and screw this all up and change our state of mind, then we're really screwed.
Well, wait a second. Who's doing well? All the politicians are doing well.
Right.
I mean, politicians. Should these politicians be living in 25,000 square foot houses? I don't think any politician should be paid for their services like the founders were not paid for their services.
Shouldn't.
It should be volunteer.
I believe in New Hampshire or Vermont they are not paid.
I'm not sure about that, actually. I know New Hampshire has a slogan, "Live free or die." I know that. That's even on the license plate. But let's connect 336 here.
There's a radio show called Free Talk Live on the Internet. They come from New Hampshire or Vermont, and whatever state they're in, their politicians work for free. Go ahead.
Well, that's how it should be. They should not be paid. They shouldn't have private jets. I mean, Nancy Pelosi. Well, instead of giving her a gavel, they should have gave her a pair of handcuffs. What did she say when she was standing getting? If anyone watched it, I watch corporate media only to know what the New World Order is up to.
She said we have to pass this bill before we read it. That's what she said. That's when she should have been hung. That's when she should have been hung.
She shouldn't have been hung. You don't want to say that. You want to say she should have been brought up on charges and if found guilty, hung.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Yeah, because we're all entitled to a trial and due process. We all are. But I'm going to connect 336 here. But before I do, Nancy Pelosi said this last week. Thank you to all my constituents. She didn't say thank you to the people that supposedly voted her in because she knows the voters don't have a say. You can't vote in the corporation. She said thank you to my constituents and my family for making me House Speaker again.
In reference to voting her in, you could check this out, and I wish someone else would check it out too, because I wasn't paying much of attention. But just something for everyone to check on. There are 435 in the House that voted her in, and she got 435, and half of that would be 218, I guess, and she got 220, I believe. But 15 people didn't vote. So now, you can take 15 off and add 15 the other. That's something to look into and that's what you can't trust these goddamn criminals in Washington, D.C.
No, you can't. That's absolutely, they are. Turn the lights off, go home, shut down the whole government. I know Brother Mercy was on this show. They got families. These people are suffering. Bullshit.
And you know what,
Brother Mercy?
And you know what? They can go out and mow a few friggin' lawns, and when they go back to work, they're going to get every penny that's owed to them. Unlike any of us who go without a job, who are screwed.
That's right. And I wanted to challenge Brother Mercy on that. How you government workers doing out there? I say screw them. They could take vacation time right now and get paid for it. They get so many damn weeks of vacation, so many damn sick days, so many holidays. You know what? Screw those government workers. And what the hell's a government worker anyway? We the people don't need you. No government worker comes to my house and cleans my toilet. No government worker waxes and washes my car for me. What the hell good are they? The roads are still going to be paved. The police officers are still going to be paid. The firemen are still going to come and respond to a fire at your house. The Federal Reserve pays them, not the government. All right, 336 been waiting a long time. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I did play that song for my friend out there here tonight on the opening, and it's going to be part of my introduction from now on. But go ahead, 336.
Yeah, I'll go back and listen to it. Yeah, by the way, Eagles just won. So Eagles will be going to New Orleans, and the Cowboys will be going to the Rams.
There you go.
Hopefully, if the Eagles beat the Saints by some miracle, the Eagles will actually have to play, and the Cowboys win next week. Since the Eagles are a lower seed, they'll have to play the Cowboys in Dallas. So. Well,
there you go.
There
you go.
But anyway,
I don't know about but these referees in the game and everything. You got to admit, it's kind of like the government. They control and dictate the course of the game.
They control everything.
They
control everything. But Pitbanger might want to describe the difference between a United States note and a Federal Reserve note, because people that don't know the difference, they quit printing United States notes in 1971. And then that's when they started printing Federal Reserve notes, something totally different. But there's a difference between the two. And as far as the government shutdown, if you listen to CNN, they're saying millions of people bringing home paychecks. No, 800,000. 800,000 government workers are affected right now. You know what that means? That means instead of maybe 5 people watching one guy dig a hole, there's only 3 people watching one guy dig a hole. Good. Why are we paying them to watch?
And Leroy, you're right on that. You're right on that 800,000. Because I happen to be downstairs, and the person I'm with here, she was watching MSLSD, and that's what it said.
Yeah. Yep. I know. I mean, and I got that off of I think the other day I was riding home on a. It was Sean Hannity said it or something like that, and well, of course, then I listened to everybody just to get their different views, and CNN's millions. There's such a bunch of. They're not even none of them are news networks, first of all, but CNN and MSNBC, they tell so many damn stories. They shouldn't even be labeled as news. They should be labeled as fiction or something.
If you look up their corporate filings and everything, most of them are labeled as entertainment networks.
Exactly. That's like wrestling, worldwide entertainment. It's not. Yeah. It's not worldwide wrestling. Entertainment. This is worldwide news entertainment.
Well, anyone who wants to queue in here tonight and talk live on understanding the times in which you live in today, all you got to do is press the number 1, and I will connect you. It's Sunday night. I did try calling one corporation, but like someone told me, I'm a little late on the show. I need to really do a show like around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and then be able to get a hold of people or something on the West Coast instead of 7 o'clock. And that would be, and even if people can't tune in. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, even if people can't tune in, at that time, at least the show will be archived, and we can get some live interviews with some people here. Instead of calling so late like I always do. But
you got to remember, 7 o'clock here is only 4 o'clock there on the West Coast. So any agency or anything like that should still be open. I mean, during weekdays now. You got to remember, today's Sunday.
Yeah, well, they were open until 8 o'clock. The corporation that I called here tonight, and of course you can't get customer service. You can't get a hold of anybody. I don't know. I pressed the number 3, but who knows? I could be getting blocked by Blog Talk Radio because of Amazon. When we took on Amazon, I took a lot of heat. They tried shutting this show down. So, I don't know. Who knows? But we got another caller on the line, Leroy. But if you want to go ahead and make some more points, go ahead.
Speaking of corporations, you want me to tell you a little bit more about Amazon and what I did?
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll take a private caller here. Hopefully it's not Tone, but go ahead.
To show you how Amazon is and how they don't care about you, the person, they just care about their profits. We all know we had a problem with what I was doing on Amazon. Not a problem with the material or anything I was offering for sale on Amazon, because they're still selling it in different endeavors on their site. So there's nothing wrong with that. They just didn't like me and the amount of money that I was getting from them. So when they closed me down, I got a hold of one of my friends, and I had them create an account. Now, they've never had a computer in their life. They've never had an Amazon account. They don't even know basically what Amazon is, basically. I had them create an Amazon account, and they went through the whole process, and they created some information for Amazon to sell, which took about 6 weeks working on it every day to get it on Amazon. Amazon waited until the third month till it started producing income, and then they closed the account down saying, you have too many accounts with us. And it's the only account they've had in their life.
Yeah, but hang on. Did they track you through your IP address maybe? Because they do that.
Anything's possible. We have dynamic IP addresses, and they change. And just because it's an IP address, as Leroy would know, I could be on a shared network doing wirelessly, and it's all being netted out by the same IP address.
Oh, don't worry. We're not done with our war against Amazon. We're not done with our war on Amazon. Trust me. Amazon's going to pay.
I just wanted to bring that up and put it on today's show because now it's in the archives and it's there forever.
What you do is, if you've got someone that knows your number, go out and buy an IP phone, learn how to manage it, and you can mask the number to be anything you want. So, I mean, I can make my number show up to be, hey, it's your wife calling. Or I can make my number show up to be the local.
What I did years ago, before anybody was even interested in it, I did virtual private networks, VPNs. Of course, now it's a big thing, but I was doing it 18 years ago. And all you got to do is get yourself a VPN connection and come in from another country, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
right. That's how these people do it nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, let's connect this private caller. Hopefully, it's not a tone or a crank caller. Let's see. A private caller. Private caller. Go ahead. You're live on Blog Talk Radio. Go ahead.
Well, hello, everybody. I hope everyone had a very happy New Year.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing all right. Doing okay. What I wanted to comment on is, during Christmas and Thanksgiving, they, your local radio stations and everything, they always want you to give to the pantry, give money, give turkeys. I think Milwaukee got 180 turkeys out of their drive this year for the homeless. And one morning I was listening to it, and the news guy, he asked, the owner of the rescue mission. He says, okay, you get all this food and you feed it to everybody on Thanksgiving. I said, now how long do you have food to keep feeding these people? He says, oh, we don't. This is just one. And it's like, they have programs up here in Milwaukee called Silver Bus. They take transit buses and they park them like at Lambeau Field, Brewers Stadium, and they fill them. Food. I mean, from front to back, and they do like.
So what you're saying, Mike? So what you're saying, Mike, is this, and I want to comment on somebody in the chat room. I'm going to leave you on the line here. What you're saying is they're getting one meal, or like Thanksgiving dinner, and then what do they do for the rest of the year? I mean, so why are you going to donate on Thanksgiving and Christmas? What's wrong with the rest of the year? You know, people got to eat every single day, right?
Right. I mean, then they got these programs. $19 a month.
I agree with you 100%. And someone and Mike, not to cut you off here, but I agree with you 100%. You're absolutely correct. And but these programs, you know, there's plenty of food out there for everyone to eat in America and around the world. That's a fact. You know, I mean, and the problem is that we have a lot of people out there. We got dope heads out there. We've got the crack addicts out there, you know, who want to take advantage of these charities so they can sell it, you know, for their Federal Reserve notes. But to comment on the flycatch there in the chat room, government workers, real numbers. Well, let me say to this flycatch in the chat room, government workers, real numbers. 800,000 people. What? I don't care if it's 5 million people. Tell those government workers that are on furlough right now, go get a job bagging groceries. Go get a job working as a waitress or a waiter for a minimum wage and work all damn day long and come home and have to pay your bills and find out you got nothing left. You know, because these government workers are overpaid, overpriced, and I say eliminate these government workers. Put them in the private sector. You know what? Get out there, mow lawn for a living. Get out there and paint some houses. Get out there and do something what America was built on. Government workers are paid freely by the Federal Reserve, okay? These government workers who go to work at freaking 9 o'clock and they don't start working until 12 noon after they have their 3 cups of coffee sitting in their cubicle, and then they got to answer a phone, and like I just demonstrated, like Big Lots, press 1, press 2. Can I take your message? And then hang up on a person, because that's what a government worker is. Government, and like Leroy said, instead of 5 people watching one guy dig a hole, now they only have 3. Too damn bad. Screw the government workers. We don't need government workers. We, the people, will take care of ourselves. We'll come up with our own bartering system, flycatch. We don't need the government. Shut it down. Turn the lights off. Go home and don't come back. Because you don't represent we, the people. We, the real people. The people out there busting our ass every day for nothing. For nothing. To be taxed over death, to get taxed, property tax, highway use tax, this tax, federal income tax, which is totally unconstitutional, by the way, a federal income tax, taxing me on my labor. Kiss my ass.
Hey, Joe, Flycatch agrees with you.
Yeah, he does. Let me say something here. Let me say something here. Let me say something here that I've said before that may get some people thinking and may get them to do a little research. I was downstairs talking to that person I had started up that Amazon account, and she says that all these illegals that are coming into the country with children, they should be sent back and they shouldn't be given food or shelter or anything like that. And I agree with her. But the reason why is, you see, they're not a citizen of the United States. So our government has no control.
Free. Yep.
Our government has no control over them. There's a difference between we the people and we the citizens. The first thing they ask you when you go to court or when you're arrested, are you a United States citizen? And you say, yes. Therefore, now our laws apply to you. If you said, no, I'm a person, they're kind of dumbfounded.
Well, yeah, that's and then you get to the sovereign movement and stuff like that, and people call them nuts, but they're not nuts actually. And I don't agree with anyone. Like I said, if you got children and everything, and you have to have a driver's license to get to work and go to work, you need to cooperate. The Federal Reserve enforcers will pull you out of the car, kill your children, kill your wife. So you got to be careful when you handle these things. But we've had people on this show in years past, if you remember, we've had people from the Republic on here who explained the law the law, the real law, the de jure form of government, and how it can be restored, and actually it is restored. There is a government right now. If you go to the Republic of the United States website, they have a law graph on there that explains it to you, your own law, and they explain it to you, and they're just sitting and waiting for this new world order to take over, or this governmental designed a collapse, or another false flag like 9/11. You know, how many people have died from terrorist attacks since 9/11, folks? How many? How many? How many? Can anyone name? I'm going to tell you right now. Supposedly 7. Supposedly 7. And the Boston bombers were 4 of them, okay? The Boston bombers. And we all know what happened to them. They disappeared like Bernie Madoff. They're sitting on an island someplace in the Caribbean playing golf, laughing at us, all right? Because Bernie Madoff is not sitting in a federal prison, okay? He's not. His twin is. Somebody who looks like him. All right, it's a joke, folks. It's a played-out joke, and people may laugh. Ha ha ha! That's funny. Yeah, that can't be true. Look, folks, read the documentaries, watch the documentaries. The government ships the cocaine and heroin in this country, like I said a million times already. Everything's a joke, and like Bitbanker said, it's a state of mind we live in, and we're programmed to live a certain state of mind. We're distracted by our television programming system, by our entertainment. Look, there's nothing wrong with entertainment. I had a good time last night watching the football game. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you know the truth of what's really going on behind the curtain, the Iron Curtain. Yeah, the Iron Curtain. Remember that saying during the 80s? As long as you know the truth of what's really happening. And I'm not saying pick up a gun and go take on the government right now. I'm not saying that. But there's going to become a time, when they have things planned, well planned. What happens if Iran lights off a dirty bomb or whatever, and they blow up one of the Russian-supported nuclear reactors in their country, and they blame it on Israel? The whole world's going to go into chaos. What happens if they light off a dirty bomb or a suitcase nuclear bomb in Atlanta, Georgia, and we blame it on Israel and the media, because they program you for you to believe whatever they want. Like 9/11, we all think that people from Afghanistan, a few men from a cave, people in Afghanistan, a country that has less than 8 miles of railroad tracks, doesn't even know what the hell a car is, all right, was able to make NORAD a multi-billion, hundreds of billion-dollar military machine stand down on 9/11, because the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. They were trained in Florida, okay, and they were CIA agents, and they did maybe fly the planes into the World Trade Center, but that's not what brought them down. But we all hate Muslims because of that, don't we? And then we started what? What did we start after 2001? What did they keep saying? Terror, terror, terror. The war on terror.
Patriot Act.
Terror. Right? Right? Everyone agree with that? Terror. The war on terrorism. What's the war on terrorism? How many of you have the boogeyman living under your bed here tonight? How many of you have a terrorist standing out your front door ready to blow your house up, ready to kill you? Demanding
that was
jihad.
The beginning of the Patriot. That was the beginning of the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act makes sure that anything you do at a bank is well documented.
That's what the bank told me when I told them. I said, "Why do you need my Social Security?" Under the Patriot Act now, we got to ask for that. Why? I'm not applying for Social Security benefits. Why do you need my Social Security number? We need 3 forms of ID, sir. Papers, please. Nazi Germany, all over. History repeats itself. Adolf Hitler was an experiment.
That Patriot Act is thousands and thousands of pages. And look how long it took them to come out with it.
And they passed it overnight. Overnight they passed it. And it was written a long time before September 11, 2001. And as I played for you in my intro, George Bush gave his New World Order speech, guess what? September 11th. September 11th, 1991. And his son became president exactly 10 years later, and then September 11th, 2001 happened. Isn't that weird? Don't you think? Wouldn't that wake you up? Why would George Bush Sr. give a New World Order speech on September 11th, 1991? Look it up in archives, folks. Look it up on YouTube. Go to the Library of Congress if you don't believe the internet. Why would George Bush, his father, give a New World Order speech on September 11th? September 11th, 1991. And then, miraculously, September 11th, 2001, the World Trade Centers came tumbling down. Do your own research, everybody. I'm going to tell you right now, because they were the World Trade Centers, and the United States was bankrupt, and the world was calling upon their debt that was owed, and only way we can keep the Federal Reserve note as the world's renowned currency was to get rid of those bonds that we owed to the rest of the world. And why else do it? Through a fake false flag attack. False flag attacks have been used throughout history. The Gulf of Tonkin, look it up. Hitler, Adolf Hitler, the Reichstag building, he blamed it on communism. It was a retard they killed. They said he burnt down the Reichstag building. They killed him and arrested him. They said he was a communist. But the whole country of Germany believed it. And what did Adolf Hitler always say? We need to protect the homeland. The homeland. That's what. Go look at Hitler's speeches. We need to protect our homeland. What do our politicians say today on corporate media? Our homeland. We need to protect our homeland. And how did Adolf Hitler come to power, folks? Look at George Bush Sr.'s father, who funded I.G. Farben, which funded Adolf Hitler to build his war machine. Look it up. For God's sake, all you got to do is look at history, and then you'll say, oh, my God, what the hell's going on here? And like I said, I'm not saying toss and turn at night in your bed about this crap. All I'm saying is be awake. Understand. Some of you are not in good health out there. You're older. Maybe you're bedridden. You can still operate a radio. You still should have plenty of food in your house. Why aren't you prepared? Are you too busy paying your cable bill? Are you too busy paying your cell phone bill? Instead, you should be stocking up on MREs, food. And you know what? If it never happens, guess what? Guess what? At least you could say, I was prepared. It's kind of like a tornado. It's kind of like a hurricane. You could say, at least I was prepared, or a winter storm. You could say, hey, we had a big winter storm. I was prepared for 4 or 5 days without power. I was prepared. I had food. I had water. I was prepared. I wasn't like these zombies out there. Oh, my God, I only got 2 days' worth of food in my refrigerator. If I lose power, what the hell am I going to do? That's all I'm saying. You don't have to walk around paranoid looking at every Freemason under a rock. I'm not saying that. That's what a pastor once told me. You don't have to go searching for the Illuminati. Who cares what they do? But be educated and be aware of what's happening. Understand how to get water out of the ground without electricity or, a backup system. If you don't have an automobile, figure out how you're going to travel, how you can get around, how you're going to protect your family. Protect yourself. You have a right to your Second Amendment. I don't give a crap what your sheriff's department says. I don't care. Well, he got arrested 30 years ago. He can't own a gun. Go to hell, asshole. There's ways around everything. You can outsmart the New World Order. You can do it by educating yourself. And I don't know what you believe in, God, Mother Earth, Hindu, Japanese, blah, blah, blah. Every religion gives you a way out. It gives you a way out if you study it. And you have a higher power you can worship and understand. I'm not saying, look, don't be an Indian, like these other people. I'm an Indian. Yeah, what tribe are you part of? What do you mean? What are you talking about? You know, all these people, because you know, the Indians were suppressed by the white man. Bullshit. Indians were killing each other long before the Europeans got here. They were hacking each other up left and right. Fact. And where did the Indians come from, by the way? You know? Go ahead, Leroy. I've been talking long enough. Go ahead.
That's fine. I just want to make a quick comment about the Indians. Everyone keeps throwing in what the white man did to the Indians, what the white man did to the Indians. What about what the Indians did to the white man? That's stuff you don't read in history books normally. They were savages. We made plenty of deals with them and everything else, kept up on our deals until, you know, you start finding your kids and your wife scalped. You know, that would turn me and any of my followers, too, to, hey, let's start killing Indians. You know, if they don't want to play by the rules that they helped make, it's a known fact. Since day one, times are different now than they were 200, 300, 400 years ago. We don't go in taking over nations no more or anything like that. If they do, the rest of the world steps in. Just look what Russia is going on now over there in wherever the hell that damn little country is. It's like 10 square miles. That they keep messing
Syria.
with. I mean, yeah, Syria. And, you know, if the rest of the world's going to step in now and do that. But 300, 400 years ago, that's not how it was. That's not how a country grew. A country grew and became more popular, more powerful by taking over more land. The Romans did it. The Egyptians did it. They all did it. So, well, hell, I guess we could blame the Egyptians and the Romans for killing us white men, too. I mean, it's nonsense to live in the past. Live in the future.
They did. The Romans did. You're absolutely right, Leroy. The Egyptians did. If you were an Egyptian slave, look what they did to the Jewish people, the Egyptians. You know, out of Egypt. You know, Egypt was the original slave owners. Not the Europeans, Mandela Khan, you know, with your crap and your Mother Earth shit. And Ethiopia did not rule the world any time throughout world history. I don't know where the hell you get your history from.
If Ethiopia is so great, why the hell is it a damn cracked up, dried up, rotten out damn freaking desert down there? You know, damn. Grow some damn food down. Oh,
Wrong
you can't.
God.
It's not fertile.
Well, I mean, you know. I want to give you a religious perspective here. Wrong God. Maybe. Just like the Indians.
Maybe.
They were worshiping the moon and a tree, you know? And who do we worship here in America? What are we founded on? Jesus Christ. Why are we so blessed? Why is Israel so blessed? You know? I mean, you look at all these other countries, they're in turmoil. They're in turmoil constantly, you know? I mean, look at Germany. Wrong God.
Mostly all in the name of their religion, too. You know?
That's right.
Hey, a little bit on your survival and your MRE food. Can I go there?
Yeah,
sure.
Go ahead.
You know, I've seen it before, Alex Jones or whatever, and you buy this food for $199, and it's going to last 30 years, so on and so forth. But you know, if you got yourself a small little chest freezer and a nice big solar panel and a battery and an inverter, you could run that for years off the sun. If you go and you buy canned food and you rotate it and you buy pristine cans that aren't dented, you can easily get 5 or 10 years out of a can sitting there. So you should start now and rotate your food. You know, if you need to make bread.
Hang on. Let me interject just one quick. In the Bible, if you're a Christian or if you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ or the Bible, it says the sun will become darkened, you know, during the New World Order. And look, we got technology now where we know they're spraying us with the chemtrails and they can cloud the sky and there won't be any sun. You know, I'm just saying, 10 years from now, they darken the sun, you know?
Yeah, chemtrails, that's a little deep subject.
I'm not talking about God's work. I'm talking about man-made problems. You bring God into the picture, and we could all be gone in 10 seconds from now. You know, we don't have to worry about that. What I'm saying is a way out of another government mishap. You know, a government bailout, a new world order. You know, making bread, it's the easiest thing to do by hand if you've got some flour and yeast and a little bit of water. And, you know, and if you can't light a fire, sure, then you're in trouble. But these survival skills and everybody running to stores in the event of a snowstorm and everything because 2 or 3 days they won't be able to go out, that's ridiculous. That's totally ridiculous.
It is.
Well, like you said, BitBanker, you could take one of them little 110 volt 110 watt solar panels. You could buy them for $100, and you could run. You don't even need a battery on a damn thing, but you do have to get an inverter. And you could hook it up to one of these little, I guess you call them apartment freezers or dorm freezers, and during the day, it'll freeze. It's going to stay frozen overnight. Guess what's going to happen the next day when the sun comes? It doesn't matter if it's cloudy. The solar panel's still going to work. It's not as efficient. It's going to cool back down. A freezer don't freeze at 32 degrees when most liquid freezes. They go down normally at 4 degrees or 4 below zero. So it takes a long time for a freezer to thaw out, and it's not going to thaw out overnight. So that's a good way to store. That's a good way to store food, like you said. You can store seeds, to plant. For an eternity. People are just dumb when it comes to stuff like that. If they can't go to the store and buy it, they can't do nothing.
Well, it's said that the elite. It's said that the elites, the people who are going to bring this on, have their own seeds up in the Arctic somewhere where it's always cold, and they have organic.
Well,
seeds.
you want to talk about elites? You want to talk about elites, Bitbanker? They worship demons. The elites, skull and bones. They worship the Moloch. And if you studied cults and religions like I have, these people actually, I believe they are actually in contact with the devil, Satan, if you want to call him. And I believe they're guiding them to do this. And people can laugh, but if you study cults and religion, there's a good book to read, The Two Babylons by Andrew Hyssop. I read that. Or A Woman That Rides the Beast by David Hunt. Another good book. I've read that. These elites, they actually believe that what they're doing, they think it goes back to Nimrod, and Bible stories where they think they're going to run the world and they're going to have their one world order and conquer God. And that's what these elites believe. They actually believe that.
Never make a deal with the devil. But what that brings me to is today, one of our local grocery stores had a sale on canned food. Normally, green beans or whatever are $1.29 a can. They were 39 cents a can for the vegetables. We got 100 cans of vegetables for 39 cents a piece, and we'll rotate them. And you can do the same thing with flour. You can get flour and seal it in a vacuum bag. Your yeast you can stay in the jar, put it in your refrigerator. You got flour and yeast, and you got a little bit of sugar. You like sugar in your bread. You can make bread. You can have vegetables. You can do the same thing with sauce. You can make grinders. You can freeze your meats, like Leroy said. You got chickens in there. You rotate. You got hamburger in there. You rotate. You should be able to sit home for 5 years.
Yeah, and stuff in the freezer.
You know what? Before I give everyone their closing remarks, because I don't want to keep everyone on a Sunday night here too long here, because I didn't really advertise the show too much. But those are good ideas. But I pity the people that are on drugs, the people that are hooked on certain things that will have no. They'll have no choice but to go to FEMA camp.
If they learned a little bit about botanicals, they could go out in their backyard during good weather, and they could pick the plants that they need to take to overcome those problems, because the plants they've picked that are free, that are legal, will provide them with the same results.
Yeah, but people aren't going to take the labor out of doing that. So people aren't.
They're not going to take the knowledge. They're not going to take the knowledge to learn how to do that.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Now they have problems.
Well, yeah, that's right. And again, I go back to the Bible again. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. Exalteth the nation that is righteous. How can the foundations survive if the foundations are built of sand? The Bible answers itself. All you got to do is read it and understand it and rightly divide the word and understand what book is written towards what people and what time frame it's written. It's called theology. I've studied theology. I've studied world history. And we're going to have a show about cults and religions in the future here, and we're going to bring on several pastors from around the country. I'm lining up that show, actually, and it's going to be a very interesting program. And one of these people that I'm going to have on is a Blog Talk Radio show host, and that's what I'm going to try to line up here in the next 10 days. And that should be very interesting. And all your questions are going to be answered about religion. And people can make their smart-ass remarks, but that's your opinion. And we're going to base this show upon facts. factual, historical documents. And I always say, everyone says, men wrote that Bible. How do you know it's true? Well, men wrote the Constitution. How do you know that's true? Is anyone alive today that could testify they saw the Constitution be written? Was anybody alive during Abraham Lincoln's days? We remember Abraham Lincoln. We always honor what he has to say. So why do we believe that? But we always attack the Bible, you know? And that's very interesting. That's a very interesting thing. Well, men wrote that Bible. You know, of course they did. God didn't come down with one large hand. He inspired man to write that Bible, just like the Constitution. It was inspired by George Washington to write that Constitution. And if you read the Federalist Papers, George Washington said God inspired him to write that Constitution. And the Founding Fathers all said that. Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, all the founders, they were inspired. You know, we are entitled, we are endowed by our Creator to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The greatest document written other than the Bible. But nobody was alive. Nobody saw those men write it. So how do we know it's true? Right? Well, we believe it, don't we? That's what we live upon. But we always attack the Bible, and those are interesting points we're going to bring up on the show also when we have that show. But let Bitbanker have a few minutes, then Leroy, and then if Mike wants to cue in here and have a closing thought, unless I get some new callers here on the line, I'll start with Bitbanker. Go ahead.
Well, it's been a good show. I enjoyed it. There are many things you can do for yourselves to prepare to survive. You should do them regardless on a day-to-day basis. You know, I talked a little bit about herbs and botanicals, but not too much about how you can go out in your yard and find these now illegal drugs and chemicals that people require on a daily basis that you can actually go and pick that will give you the same basic results. For instance, morning glories, heavenly blue morning glories. You know, they grow all over and they grow like vines. The seeds are prolific in the summertime. If you take the seeds off a heavenly blue morning glory, in which that's totally legal to grow and to have, but to crush the seeds and smoke them is totally against the law, because you'll go back to where the hippies were if you do that. And there are plenty of other plants out there. There are plenty of plants out there growing wild that will give you all the medicinal and other, drug-related effects that you could possibly think of. All you have to do is know what to look for and what not to look for. White willow pine with the salicylic acid for aspirin versus the aspirin that you buy in the store, which causes stomach ulcers and stomach bleeding and things of that nature. And they say take an aspirin because it's good for your heart, but now they find out that it actually causes stomach bleeding, and what's good for your heart is actually the magnesium or calcium coating on the aspirin itself. So you see, we don't know what we don't know, and that's the problem. And so the thing is to always try to find out more for yourself and keep pushing for better results and looking at things to make your life easier and better. And, you know, you're going up on a farm and everything. You know, if it came to where you were starving or whatever, you could fry up cow poop, for Christ's sakes, and eat it. Because, you know, people do that all the time. So, you know, there's no reason that people are going to die of starvation. It's just called a little bit of planning.
Bitbanker, real quick, how's your father doing? I know he was a caller on this show for many years when we first started. We know he's living in Connecticut now. He was down in Florida. How's he doing? If you know by any chance.
It's been 2 weeks today since I last saw him. I was going to go today, but because of other things that have come up, I couldn't go because I don't have the transportation. But the last time I was there, he seemed in good spirits. He doesn't want to be where he is, but he says it's okay there. He says it's better than in Florida. He realizes that he has to be there. He's a bit delusional. He's talking to me about things from the 1960s, which he's pretty good at. He's pretty good at it, but he's getting it all wrong. But he's very quick, and as far as Leroy is concerned now, so I said, hey, Dad, if you wanted to transmit on 20 megacycles and you had a 10.7 megacycle IF, what would your crystal frequency be? Right off the bat, he gives me the answer. So it's not that he doesn't know. He knows. But you know, he's 86, 87 years old. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying is that he should not have to be there because we Americans don't do what other people do. You know, if everyone lived in one house or two houses together, and just imagine the money we could save. I
tried that approach, but he was living with my friend, and he's never even come up the stairs to where I live because he can't come up the stairs. He was living with my friend, and she's as sick or sicker than he is. And when things got to the point to where she was being inconvenienced 24/7, and she actually still had to go to work too, it wasn't me running up and down the stairs virtually all night long and everything else, or carting them to a hospital or anything like that. That's not the problem. The problem is that she couldn't do it, and she's not even my family. So I couldn't put her through that, so he had to go where he had to go.
Well, that's what my point was, is that the Chinese, the Indians come over here, the Mexicans come over here. They all live in one big house. They all go to work every day. And guess what?
Well,
they don't have to pay $900 for a mortgage. They only got to pay $50 a piece.
I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that. We've seen what was happening, and I had a house picked out for him. It was $83,000, and it was big enough to have someone live on the second floor. It was a single family house, and the second floor was just a remodeled attic, all well done and everything. And for someone else to live on the second floor, and he would stay on the first. And my intention was to have us family members take turns staying there, taking care of him 24/7. Maybe I'd stay there Monday through Friday, and someone else would come in on Saturday and Sunday, so on and so forth. But nobody else wanted that, so he's where he is because that's where he is.
Well, and that's how most Americans live today, because it's all about me and my life and my situation and my concerns and my problems. Instead, like I was quoting the Founding Fathers, what did they say? We pledge our lives, our fortunes, our sacred lives, the sacred fortunes, to God and to our families. And that's how they lived back then, you see. And that's how our ancestors or our great-great-grandparents lived. That's how they would live. They were a unit together, But today it's all about me. What can I get? What can I steal from this guy? And because I got to take care of myself, because the next guy is going to screw me over. And that's one of the main problems with America today. Because the majority of us today think that way. Instead of looking out, and look, we can't fix it with one phone conversation over a radio show. All I'm doing is understanding the times in which we live in today. And that's what we live, that's how we live today. And that's why the Mexicans get all the landscaping jobs, the painting jobs, and they get the bank loans, and because they're not citizens, blah, blah, we can go into that too. We already did. That's why the Indians, you look at these Habibs who own all these food bag stores, all these Cumberland Farm stores, because you want to know why? When the father goes home, the mother takes over. When the mother goes home, the daughter takes over. And it's not, how much money did you spend today? Oh, you bought a new car. Well, I'm jealous of you. Oh, why can't I have that? Because they all live together, and they share their incomes together, and they grow up, and they stay together, and they build, and then they buy another store together, another hardware store together, whatever, and that's how they operate. But, see, we as Americans don't operate like that. It's all about
what's
me.
For me.
I want to stare at my
what's
iPhone.
For me?
What's for me?
Right.
What's
right.
for me?
What's for me? Right. I know all about it.
All right, Leroy, go ahead. Yep, Leroy, go ahead.
Yeah, what's
Leroy,
for me?
if you want to have some
what's for me? I want it.
I'll
What's
make you a pizza.
But you're right.
I'll make you a pizza.
But you're right. I will never. Put down.
Leroy, what's for you? You got my emails and you read them, right?
Yes.
All right, that's what's for you.
Yeah, I got to go. I'm going to the doctor's on the 4th, but it's just for basically, I haven't had a physical nothing for 3 years, so I'm gonna go get one.
But remember what I wrote. Read what I wrote.
Yeah, I got it all. And
all right, go ahead, Leroy. Let Leroy wrap it up.
I see a trip to a health food store here maybe in the next week or two to touch base with some of that stuff. But anyway, make a long story short, you'll never see. I mean, to get pure organic stuff, of garlic and stuff like that, like you put in there, because I like garlic and stuff like that. And one thing you left out, Bitbanger, about you're saving up food and things like that. Honey never goes bad. It's a natural sweetener. You can eat it straight. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter. What's that?
Local honey.
Yeah. Well, listen, you've been down here. There is some local people down here that make the honey. So
I don't want to interrupt you, but just for you and everyone else on the call, the bees fly around your area. They're not flying around someone else's area. The bees are going to provide the benefits you need for your area, not for someone else's area. That's why I say get local honey.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're also feeding locally too, and getting all the local nutrients provided. And it's a big circle. So I would think, in a broader spectrum, it's a big circle. But the touch off, the Mexicans, like Joe said. You'll never see me put down a Mexican that's here legally working, sending his money back home. People say, he's making all his money, sends it back home. Because why? They take care of themselves. The $1 here goes a long ways in Mexico. And that's what they do. You'll see 13, 14 of them living in a little shack with 4 cars with big rims on them or something jacked up with hydraulics and everything else, and living in a shack because they don't care about the material things so much, like my house has to be beautiful or anything like that. Give them a good work truck. Let them do what they want to it. Put some pink furry dice in it, and they go to work every damn morning and make their money, and they send it back to their families normally. I know several of them that do it. They're here legally, but I know several of them here that do it. And once a year they go down to Mexico. They see their relatives, and one might go down there, and the other one might come back up here. But they're all legal too. They're doing it through the legal process. There's nothing wrong with that. It's taking care of your own. But the solar stuff that he was talking about, I would love to have even a half a show to talk about, ways that we could save energy and use energy in a time of a crisis, because there's so many ways out there to do it, and you don't have to really spend no money to do it. If you want to spend money, that's fine. It'll be a lot easier for you. And who's prepared if something was to happen tomorrow? I mean, do you own a gun? Do you know how to hunt? Do you know how to clean a deer? Do you know how to field dress, clean a deer, put them in your freezer? Hell, maybe you can't get a deer. How about a squirrel or a coon or a possum? I mean, they're all good eating. A fish. Do you know how to go fishing? Take that fish out, gut them, put them in your freezer. Most people don't know how to do that nowadays. But if something was to happen tomorrow, I got plenty of places I'll go kill me some food or go fishing. And you know what? Even if you don't like fish, you get hungry enough, that fish is going to taste damn good. So, I mean, that's the way it is. Most of us are all overweight now, so we only eat things that we like. I don't like the way the fish tastes, so I'm not going to eat that. Well, that's fine, but you know what? When you get hungry enough, you're going to eat that damn fish. But as far as the stockpiling food, most food has an expiration date on it. It's not an expiration date because it becomes unsafe to eat. It's an expiration date because it loses its flavor. Just like ground beef. You can put ground beef in your freezer, and as long as it's frozen and doesn't fall back out several times, that ground beef is good pretty much forever, but it's going to lose its flavor. So they say, don't keep ground beef in your freezer for more than 3 months. Bullshit, you keep it in there for 3 years if you want. It's just not going to taste as good as it did when you first put it in there. And that's the same thing with anything. I mean, when something's frozen, it's frozen. And when you take it out, as long as you cook it thoroughly, there's nothing to worry about. And that goes for most foods nowadays. And same with drugs. I mean, if you got aspirin, like he was talking about, or Tylenols, they have an expiration date on it. They have an expiration date on it simply because they want you to go buy more, not because they expire. I mean, most studies, they'll show you most drugs and stuff they either get at a pharmacy or off the counter. If they're in tablet form, they're good 15, 20, 30 years after their expiration date. So why have an expiration date? To keep your asses buying more shit. That's why. All right, but that's just some common sense, and I'm done.
Hey, Mike, are you still out there? You want to say something real quick before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm still here. What a great
Mike,
show.
Mike, I want you to have the closing thoughts here tonight. I want you to have the closing thoughts because, you've been here since day one. on Blog Talk Radio with me, and you know, I know you tune in, so I want you to give you 2 minutes or a couple minutes if you can, and just wrap it up for us.
Well, first of all, it's a wonderful show. I think you should have something like on Thursday nights where it's the times in which you live in educating moment, and then you could come on, or Leroy could come on, or Big Banker could come on, and have that moment that is going to teach us something. Because I learn a lot from you guys, you know, and like Leroy, he's right. Put stuff in the freezer to last a long time. Now, freezer burn is different. If you're, you know, your meat and everything else starts getting a freezer burn, well, I wouldn't eat that, okay? But if you did, it wouldn't kill you. But still, it's not going to taste like the regular hamburger that you pull out. That's not freezer burn. I would like to.
You're breaking up on me, Mike.
I'd like to wish my brother a happy birthday coming up. I know it's coming up in about a week. And other than that, Joe, you got a really powerful show. You really do. And
well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that.
All people got to do is sit back and listen. And if they can't take that much time out of their life, well, then I guess they shouldn't even dial up the phone.
You're absolutely, that's what I say. I criticize people left and right, you know, but the show is archived, you know, but, you know, a lot of people, they call in and they're not patient, and, you know, I invite a lot of people, but they're too busy shoving a needle up their rear end or sniffing a pill or doing whatever they got to do, and that includes a lot of my family members, you know. I'm not going to name names and everything because I don't want to do that to people. But, you know, but you got to convict people of their sins and what they're doing wrong, and maybe one day they'll wake up. And that's why the show is called Understanding the Times in Which We Live In. But I want this song, I mean, real quick, there was a lot of people that maybe missed it. It's only a minute and 56 seconds, excuse me, 1 minute and 56 seconds long. I heard it last night and by one of my family members, and he sang it. I'm not going to mention any names because he didn't give me permission to, so I don't take that initiative to do it to anybody. But I want to play it since we got 17 minutes left, and then we'll wrap it up at the end of the song. I'll just end the show. But listen to it. You know, if you can. If you don't have time, that's fine. But it's done. It's not by a record company. It's not done by a corporation. It's done by an individual with creativity, creating things as people. That's what we're about in this country. You know, we create things. We the people. That's why I say shut down the government. We don't need you. Shut it down. Keep it shut down. Shut it all down. Because we the people will be okay. We'll be okay. All right, go ahead. I'm going to play this.
Someone call my mama, someone call my sister, someone call my brother, someone call my dad. I'm about to get mad. Grabbing the government agent, gonna smack him in the head enough times till he's bruised and dead. Tired of the situation being taxed to death. This is supposed to be a great big nation, one nation in God we trusted. Say it in class, then you'll wind up busted. Let's band together and be as one, like it was the day after 9/11. Raise hell, scream and shout till we get all the crooked politicians out.
It's screwed up nation. What's the situation? I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time. It's a screwed up nation. What's the situation? Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time.
Screwed up nation, silly stupid laws. When you get locked up, defending your home. Sorry motherfucker, breaking in your house, stealing your goods and raping your spouse. Let's not be little secondhand pawns, camping out, occupying someone else's lawn. Let's stick together and be as one, like it was the day after 9/11. Raise some hell, scream and shout till we get all the crooked politicians out. It's alright, stand up and fight. A few lying politicians, they don't stand a chance. Let's go fuckers, it's time to dance. We become one big joke. The world thinks we're weak and ready to croak. Sticking our noses where it don't belong.
situation? I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time. It's a screwed up nation. What's the situation? Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I know it's gonna be just a matter of time.
Listen up, people of the nation. This country's our own very creation. Stand together and be as one. Like it was the day after 9/11. Raise some hell, scream and shout. Get all them crooked politicians out.
All right, everybody. Good night. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.